Welcome into Around the Felt. I'm your host, Reagan Loescher. We're going to be breaking down all things week 2 in the NFL, and I'm here with my co-host, Colin Tong. Colin, what's up? How we doing on this fine Monday night?
I got the Monday blues, my man. I'm not going to lie. My New York football Giants lost in another heartbreaking fashion. My MVP pick, Joe Burrow, is out for at least 3 months. I mean, at least I did a little bit better with the picks. Big Dogs parlay, one leg short. Josh Allen couldn't get it done for us. I got some blues on this Monday.
You got some blues on this Monday, yeah. Understandable. I mean, hey, my Jets, I was at the game, and they they didn't really show up, so that was fun. But besides that, a good week with the fantasy football and the Felt 5. I believe we all went positive, or Zach slightly went negative. But besides that, a great week for the Felt 5. So a nice bounce back there from us as well. So There's some positives to take away. Come on.
There are. And the picks this week,
now.
at least I won the big bet of the week yet again. So Reagan's going to have to do some stuff with some mouse traps coming up. Our records thus far. So we're recording on a Monday, so we still have Houston, Tampa Bay is about to kick off. We have another game tonight, Las Vegas versus the Chargers. So as of right now, as it stands, Reagan went 6-8 against the spread, 7-7 money line. I went 7-7 against the spread, 8-6 on the money line. So we'll give you more fulsome updates on where we are this season on the pod later this week, because we still got 2 games. But both around 500. We've been around 500 the first 2 weeks, so we're still feeling out the teams, seeing where they shake out. Of course, with a lot of backup quarterbacks in play in week 3, things are about to get dicey.
Yeah, I'm just happy the NFL finally did it right on a Monday night too. Like, we get to watch this first game at 7, and then the second game's at 10. Do we make it all the way through till 10 o'clock? I don't know, but it's just nice to see that it did it that way. But I'm gonna try. I got an energy drink going. # not a sponsor yet, but I got an energy drink going.
Nice. Yeah, I don't think I'll be up till 1 a.m, but we'll see what happens. So, all right, let's get into some news here. Unfortunately, a lot of injury news in week 2. Of course, we'll start with the big one here. Joe Burrow, turf toe, grade 3, that will require surgery, out at least 3 months. It's the Jake Browning show in Cincinnati. And of course, it comes in the year where the Bengals actually started off on a good note at 2-0, something they've never done, with Burrow as the starting quarterback. So when it looks like the stars are aligning for them to make a run, they lose their star quarterback, who's suffered yet another significant injury in only his 6th year in the season. Reagan, this is brutal. What are your initial thoughts?
Yeah, well, this is actually one of Zach's questions. So he wanted to know, while we're on the topic, might as well ask it. What do the Bengals do with Joe Burrow out for 3+ months? Trade for a quarterback, move on as is, or sell for next year? So, I mean, dude, it's a great question, because they're 2-0. If you're 0-2, you're definitely looking at it differently. But I think they roll with Jake Browning, honestly. We saw them roll with him a couple of years ago, and while he's not the best quarterback, he's definitely one of the upper echelon backup quarterbacks. And it seemed like when Brian Callahan was their OC before he got the job with Tennessee, he got the most out of Browning. So I'm really curious to see, what he can do with these weapons. It seemed like, while he did have a couple turnovers, he did put up big production when he came in and was able to get the win. So I think they roll with him. I mean, I've seen some people float around Jameis Winston, Kirk Cousins, a couple other guys like that, but I don't think the Bengals, and with how stingy their ownership is, there's no way in hell they get Kirk Cousins. So I think it comes down to, do you believe in Jake Browning, or do you think there's someone better on the open market? I don't really think there is. I think you roll with Jake Browning right now, to be honest.
Yeah, I think you roll with Jake Browning as well. They're probably going to add a quarterback. I think it's more likely they add someone that's a free agent than they make a trade for someone, because your point with Kirk Cousins, that contract is still just unbelievable. I don't see them taking that on. And with Jameis Winston, the Giants have no motive to move him, because he's under contract for 2026 as well. So they want him to be Jaxson Dart's backup, presumably in 2026. So why would you trade him now, when at $5 million for a backup quarterback of Jameis's caliber, that's a pretty damn good deal. So I don't see that happening either.
And they do have Desmond Ritter too on the roster. Like, not that he's anything special. I think we know what he is at this point, but at least he's been a starter multi-years with Atlanta, so he has starter experience.
Yeah, like I think they're going to roll with what they got. And Browning's shown that he could win games for this team. So, yeah, I think you just roll with him. You still got a lot of firepower on this offense. Hopefully, I mean, they got a tough schedule coming up, though. So, who knows? Things could change a month from now, but I think that's where you got to go right now.
Yeah, and I think if either quarterback was going to be acquired from the Giants, it's more likely it's Russell Wilson, and the fact that he's on the 1-year deal and you're just trying to get something and sell high after his 450-yard performance.
Yeah, he still threw one of the dumbest interceptions I've ever seen in my life, but
yeah,
it's fine.
we'll
get
into
there
that later. Yeah, we'll get there.
All right. Other quarterback injury news. This happened last night. JJ McCarthy, high ankle sprain, out 2 to 4 weeks. It's going to be the Carson Wentz show, actually against Jake Browning and the Bengals this upcoming Sunday in week 3. So Carson Wentz
what the hell?
versus Jake Browning, just what we all expected just last week.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm glad it's not a primetime game because that easily could have been one, So I think everyone's happy that that's a 1 o'clock game.
Yeah, that's huge. It's a 1 o'clock game. That's tough, man. I don't know. No McCarthy, but I don't know. Minnesota, I guess they got Carson Wentz. It's going to be tough treading those waters. We'll see. And also other quarterback injury news. Jaden Daniels' knee sprain is now doubtful for Sunday. And while we're on the Commanders, Austin Eckler, torn Achilles. So,
yeah.
With all that being said, are the Commanders in trouble here?
No. I think they can win with Marcus Mariota at quarterback. And I mean, yeah, obviously losing Eckler hurts, but I mean, I think Bill was going to be taking over that backfield pretty soon anyway.
So I think it's
going to be Bill's season. McNichols was getting the third down work, but I'm not too worried about it. They may go bring in another back. There's definitely some guys out there that they can go and acquire, but I think they're happy with what they got. I mean, even Christian Rodriguez, I believe it's Christian Rodriguez.
Yep.
I mean, he's shown some flashes over the years that I think they're going to roll with those 3 guys. I mean, they obviously must have felt pretty confident in those guys because I don't think it was an Austin Eckler reason for trading Brian Robinson. It was more of a, hey, we're confident in Jeremy McNichols, Bill, and Christian Rodriguez behind Eckler that we're okay with trading him away. So I think that shows you they fully believe in these guys. And, if Bill's out there or any of those 3 guys, I'd go pick them all up. It's going to be a high-powered offense. I was going to take the Commanders in Survivor, but I think if it is Mariota, I'm going to switch over. I don't have enough confidence into that team, for the bounce without Daniels. But if he sits out a week, they're fine. You got to keep him, safe and healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely not taking him if there's no Jaden Daniels. Even if Jaden Daniels does play, he's compromised. I still wouldn't pick them in Survivor. But yeah, other quarterback news. Justin Fields, your Jets, concussion, unfortunately. I don't know the severity of it. I'd imagine he's probably going to miss this upcoming game.
I think he will.
Taylor show, but you never know.
Which I'm okay with, honestly. Like, yeah, it sucks he's concussed, but I'd like to see Tyrod get a full start and see if there's anything there. I mean, he's never going to get us into the playoffs or anything like that, but it would be nice to see, like, if he has anything, maybe if he shows some juice, like, we could ship him at the deadline and get something for him. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at with this season. Like, but I he's been on the team now for 2 or 3 years, and he's never really gotten the opportunity. So I'm just curious to see, but if at any of the games, I'm not complaining with having the veteran go up against one of our tougher matchups this season.
Valid. Jaylon Johnson, star corner for the Chicago Bears, came back in week 2 after battling a groin injury, re-aggravated it, and now surgery required, out for at least the rest of the regular season. I was not in the Bears bandwagon that they would sneak into the playoffs anyways after getting demolished in week 2 and sitting at 0-2. It's going to be an uphill battle for Chicago for sure. Now without one of their best defensive players, makes it even more difficult.
Yeah, that is not ideal. I mean, that defense got freaking cooked against Detroit. I mean, I was all over it with my Goff and St. Brown pick. I knew it was going to be a great bounce back game, but I mean, they got absolutely torched. So you don't love to see that at all.
No. Some other offensive line news. Cowboys center Cooper Beebe out 6 to 8 weeks. High ankle sprain. Robert Hunt for the Panthers also out a long time. They gave him a fat contract last offseason. So some teams that are somewhat struggling. I mean, I know Dallas got the win, but that defense looked really bad. But some teams that are somewhat struggling a little bit, losing some very important pieces along the offensive lines.
Yeah, I mean, that's not ideal. I mean, Bryce, obviously, we're going to get into a little bit later, but, he looked good. I mean, I know a lot of it was garbage time when they were trailing. I almost lucked into a win in that game. But, yeah, losing a guy like Robert Hunt, which is, one of your best offensive linemen, is not going to help his development. And, that team that already, struggles to have guys open, it's not going to help when Bryce is getting rushed like crazy.
No, it's definitely not good for Carolina. All right, that's all I got from news today, Reagan. You want to get into the questions next?
Yeah, let's do it. All right, so time to get into the questions. I already said Zach, so we're going to go to Jared Crampton. He's got a couple questions, but his first one is it time to sell Rome, or is he the next breakout star?
I would not sell Rome. I'd be holding Rome at all costs here. I don't think DJ Moore is going to be in Chicago much longer, maybe this season, maybe next, but I really don't see a long-term future for him there. And I think the wide receivers of the future for this offense are going to be Rome Odunze and Luther Burden. So if you believe in Ben Johnson as a coach, you hold on to Rome.
Yeah, no, I agree. Dynasty, I definitely hold on to him. I went out and acquired him. I gave up Jonathan Taylor to get him, and I, probably overpaid at the time, but these first 2 weeks are very telling that he is now becoming Caleb's number one. I mean, the Capitals there, they took him 9th overall when, last year it was a questionable pick because they had so many other needs, and they, opted to go with more of the luxury, having DJ Moore and Keenan Allen there. It wasn't like the biggest need. So it tells you the investments there. He looks great. So I think you're just keep riding the high, and it's fantasy football. Who cares even if the offense isn't great? We know this defense is terrible. They're going to be trailing in a lot of games. So even if it starts out slow, like Rome in the second half is going to save you in weeks because it's just going to be all easy garbage time yardage, which kind of happened last week.
Mm-hmm. And his route tree, if you saw it, it actually looked disgustingly good. Like it wasn't like he was just catching a bunch of drag routes and hitches. Like he's running all over the place, the routes underneath, down the field, things to see.
Yeah, and Jared, I mean, it's safe to say you can, in a league, you could already start to take your victory lap with the Travis Hunter for Rome straight up. I mean, you took Hunter before Rome, and then you offered me that deal, and I was like, damn, yeah, I'll do that. And granted, it's only 2 weeks, but it's looking like you really ripped me off getting Rome for Travis Hunter. So congratulations there, my good sir. So his second,
he's played 2 games. 2 games.
Yeah, it's early, but it's a redraft league, so it's not like it matters for the future.
Oh shit.
But his next question and his final question: a keep trade cut. Tucker Kraft, Sam LaPorta, Travis Kelce, keep trade cut. So for me, I'm gonna keep Tucker Kraft right now. I'm fully buying into this hype. I think he's going off of fantasy football here, so I'm fully buying into his hype through 2 weeks. He seems like he's Jordan Love's number one target, and that's fair. I mean, it doesn't seem like any of those wide receivers are really going to be pushing him to take over that number one role. I mean, Jaden Reed just got injured. Matthew Golden's utilization is very weird right now, and Romeo Doubs doesn't scare me at all. So I'm going to keep Kraft. I'm going to trade Kelce right now because with all these weapons being out right now, it's still Travis Kelce, even if he's not getting the separation and stuff that he once was before. I don't care. And I'm cutting Sam LaPorta. I'm really just not in on this guy. He's still good, but I don't think we're going to see his rookie year performance. There's just too many mouths to feed in that offense right now. And I don't want the fifth option because it's going to be the St. Brown and Jamison Williams show. And when it's not their show in the receiving game, then it's going to be the Gibbs Montgomery show. So I don't want the number 3 target and the fifth option that they're trying to get the ball to versus the other 2 that, you could make a case are the number 1 options right now. But what about you? What are you doing with the keep trade cut?
Man, so you went redraft mindset, right? I mean, because you can't put Kelce into that mindset for Dynasty because he's just too old.
Yeah, I think it's got to be redraft because I don't think it can be Dynasty because it's a no-brainer that you're getting rid of Kelce.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm also going to keep Tucker Kraft. I mean, he looks really damn good. And it's not like this just came out of nowhere. Like he looked really good last year too, while Jordan Love was battling a ton of injuries. And with the way Green Bay wants to run their offense, a lot of play action off of Josh Jacobs, and that's a big benefactor for Tucker Kraft. When you add in the fact that, as you mentioned, Jaden Reed broken collarbone out for a long time, no Christian Watson this year, it's like, okay, I know they just took a receiver in the first round, but what's really his role at this point? I don't see it. We know what Tucker Kraft's role is, so I got to keep Tucker Kraft. I have him in a dynasty league. I actually picked him up off waivers like a year ago, and it's just what a home run that is. Why you always check your waiver wires, folks. Always check them.
Yeah, no, for sure, especially in dynasty leagues.
Man, Kelce and LaPorta is tough for me. Like, there's no doubt right now Kelce's that guy, but we also saw Kelce last year just disappear for such a large stretch where you're starting him because he's Kelce, but he's like, what is he giving you? I know, like, it's one play, but his Butterfingers to kind of blow the game the other day was pretty damn bad. LaPorta is just so touchdown dependent, which is what my problem is. You know what I mean? So yeah. I think I do have to slight lean Kelce there, just given the landscape just right of the pedigree. Now. Yeah, but I slightly lean Kelce now.
Plus, I want to see what Kelce looks like when he's got Rice and Worthy on the field. We haven't seen him play, a lot of football with both those guys there. So he may end up becoming better when those guys are on the field, taking the pressure off, because it's a lot easier when it's like, all right, are we going to key in on Hollywood Brown, Tyquan Thornton, and Juju Smith-Schuster? Or are we going to worry about Kelce? Like, even if Kelce's not what he was, he's still going to be the de facto one that the defense is trying to take out. Whereas when those two are on the field, you can't just be looking at Kelce. You're looking at those two guys first. So I think that will open up a lot more for him down the stretch, and I think he'll get better for fantasy football as we get farther into the season and those guys return.
Valid point.
So, all right. So thank you, Jared. We're going to cut to Shawnee Mo. How you doing, Mr. Mo? We appreciate you submitting the question. He wants to know, and Colin, I'll let you take this one first, how long you think it will be till the Giants bench Russell Wilson for Jaxson Dart?
So my prediction this week was I'm going to take the Giants to win and cover, and Russell Wilson's going to light the world on fire because everyone's calling for his job. I was somewhat right. They blew the game, but he threw that deep ball to Neighbors that should have been the de facto game winner. Didn't happen. Look, Russell Wilson just bought himself at least another month with that performance. He threw for 450-ish yards. He was dotting up that secondary. Like, his deep balls were unbelievable. Like, I don't think I've ever watched a Giants game where deep balls have been more on point, and that includes, like, Eli Manning. Like, that's how good he was on Sunday. I get no Deron Bland for Dallas. I think at this point, Russell Wilson just bought himself another month. But, however, if they're 0-4, 0-5, then I think it's time you make the switch because it doesn't matter. You're not winning games.
Yeah, no, I definitely think the chart was going up and down because, there were people calling for his job last week. And then, if he gets the win, then there's going to be people being like, all right, let's see how this goes. Like, maybe we could be a fringe playoff team. Now you get the loss and it's like, all right, like, let's let him roll for a couple more weeks. But now it's kind of like, I think there was a lot of emotions between going into this game, then throughout the game. And then, now it's a whole different feeling. But I agree. I mean, if you lose the next couple games, I mean, there's no point to continue to delay the inevitable. I mean, I guess the only thing is, like, maybe it's longer than we expect because at the end of the day, like, this team is playoffs or bust for Brian Dable and, Joe Shane. And if you go like 4-13, I don't think, even if Jaxson Dart shows some flashes, I don't think you can justify it because it's like, all right, like, yeah, he showed the flashes, but like, Russell Wilson was still pretty good and putting up 450-yard games, and you still couldn't win. So, and I will say, man, Brandon Aubrey has got to be the best kicker in football right now.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
I mean, and also, I don't know if you saw that stat going around on Twitter, and this is it's quite the Giants insult stat. I mean, there's nothing really you can, do, I guess, to stop this. I got to pull it up. I had it in front of me before, but I believe it was the Giants have now allowed, since like 2014, over 20% of the 60-plus yard field goals that have been for game winners or to tie in regulation have been against the Giants.
I did see that, actually. Yeah.
Or it's like 22%. It was like a weird number. But
it's usually division teams, too. It's the Cowboys and the Eagles that have been hitting them against us. So.
Well, I remember the Graham Gano when he was on the Panthers against you guys, the Jake Elliott, like his first ever like rookie game. And then that. So I remember 3 right offhand, just like that were walk-off game winners against you guys from deep. So
it's fucking asinine. I do want to go back to the point. The Giants still don't have Andrew Thomas, their star left tackle, and I'm sure everyone saw the debacle of James Hudson in that first drive, getting penalized 4 times. And then they ended up going to Marcus Bowe, the rookie, who actually played well. They will not put Jaxson Dart in to start until Andrew Thomas is protecting his blind side. That's number 1. Number 2, they have Kansas City coming up this week, and then they have the Chargers. After that, week 5 is the New Orleans Saints. That sounds like a good game to give Jaxson Dart his first start. The Saints, if you're sitting at 0-4. I'm just saying. Now, if Russell Wilson goes out and plays really well and they somehow upset the Chiefs and make the Chiefs start 0-3, then, okay, that delays it again, right? I'm just saying 0-4 at week 5, that's the target that I'm looking at.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That would be one of the craziest upset wins just because it's like, if the Chiefs were 1-1 or 2-0, I could see it. But there's like, to me, no world possible where the Chiefs are going to 0-3.
No way.
It kind of sucks because it's like, I think you actually have the least amount of chance possible. If they were 2-0, 1-1, you'd have a chance. But 0-2, like, there's no way the Chiefs are going to 0-3. I'm probably going to take the Chiefs in a couple survivor picks just because it's, weird next week, but it's just unlucky. But anyway, let's move on. Thank you, Sean. Our final guy who asked questions is friend of the program, Drock. He has a couple questions. So the first one, he just wants to let us know. He goes, did Drock go 5 out of 5 on the Felt 5 and Drock blocks this week? Yes, he did. 5 out of 5 on his picks, up 15 units. Plus, he hit on the Falcons plus 4.5. So hell of a week for Drock. If you tail Drock this season, you're doing pretty well. I would just say, Drock, don't pick Giants players. You're better when you're not a homer, so keep it up. Or if he does, fade him because he's a homer and it never hits when it's the Giants. So, Drock, good job taking an early lead on the Felt 5 through 2 weeks. But then he does have a fantasy football question. Could Daniel Jones be a potential top 5 fantasy quarterback this season, or is it just too early?
No, he's not going to finish top 5. I know he's second in the league in passing yards right now, but no, he's not going to. It's crazy. They have not punted yet. Eventually, they're going to start punting like we've seen what Daniel Jones is. I know that Colts team has a lot of weapons, absolutely, but I got to think he's going to regress to the mean. I thought he would that last week against Denver. Honestly, I'm happy for DJ. I mean, what a performance for him against a defense that is considered amongst the best in the league. I just think the Cinderella story will end at some point rather soon.
Oh my God, I gotta interrupt you there, dude.
Oh my God, the wheel! The wheel! The wheel!
Let's go.
Woo! Live!
Let's go.
The wheel live! That's 2 feet.
Go.
That's
G-Dog.
That's
G-Dog.
Yeah, the wheel!
G-Dog. Bro, let's go, G-Dog. GM Light Horror, man. Check him out. That's where, when you get a fellow creator helping you out, that's what we needed. We needed the fellow creator to come out and help us out. Shout out you, G-Dog. Any horror movie fans, go check him out on YouTube. GM Light Horror. Let's fucking go. Let's go.
Wow, 1-2. Yeah, he's in.
Man.
Nico hits. I am up by 20 in a fantasy matchup. Well, not anymore because I'm going against Nico, and it comes down to the wire tonight. So not good for that, but whatever. It's worth it for the wheel. It's worth
I forgot I'm going against Nico too. That's funny. That's funny.
Wow.
What I was gonna say though, well, that's great. But with Daniel Jones, Drock, yeah, it's he could and I'm a big Daniel Jones guy. Obviously, I said I think he'll win comeback player of the year, and through 2 weeks, that's looking like a freaking great pick.
Yeah, it is.
But I do think the clock will turn back on him. We're going to see the normal Daniel Jones we're used to that, has a lot of mistakes. And I don't think he'll ever be a viable fantasy quarterback, top 5, no way. But I think he's a guy you can stream for sure in good matchups. I mean, the rushing upside's there, and he seems like he's developed more of as a passer, and that might just be having, consistent weapons and a better offensive line. But yeah, I would just stream him. I mean, he's definitely worth picking up right now. He's a guy that could put up a top 12 week any week. But I definitely think there'll be some regression, or he could be the next Sam Darnold. I mean, it seems like early on, like and Geno Smith, the next guy where it was like everyone wrote him off, new situation with a good offensive mind that really turned him around.
Yeah, could happen.
So, but that's all I got for questions.
All right.
Let's segue into the matchups.
All right, let's start with the Thursday night game, the big bet of the week. I had the Green Bay Packers to cover, and they did do that, a 27-18 win over the Commanders. Jordan Love looked absolutely phenomenal, 292 and 2 touchdowns. Tucker Kraft, of course, we touched on him earlier in the pod, going 6 for 124 and a touchdown. Now, he had that long of 57. If he didn't have a piano on his back, we would have hit the wheel on Thursday as well. That would have been really sweet. But unfortunately, he got hawked down. Did end up scoring later in the game. Romeo Doubs did have that first touchdown. Josh Jacobs also punched one in. Not as efficient as, he was the back end of last year, but still 84 yards on 23 carries is some tough running, 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Jaden Daniels, he looked all right. 3 for 200, 2 touchdowns. Ertz had a pretty good game, a touchdown. Debo had another touchdown. He looks good. Terry kind of came alive a little bit in the second half. It was a very slow start, 5 for 48, but I know he's been getting a lot of slack from fantasy managers who are like, oh, this guy just sat out all summer, and now a little bit of a slow start for Terry McLaurin. So,
all right, it's official. It's official, the wheel.
It's official. Yeah, they reviewed it. Official. It's good. That's huge. All right, Reagan, your thoughts on the Commanders falling short? Hey, I don't think this is a bad loss by any stretch of the means going on the road to Lambeau the way the Packers looked the first 2 weeks.
I disagree. I actually do think it's a pretty bad loss. I don't think the scoreboard really shows how bad it was. Like, yeah, they lost by 9 points, but, it really felt like this should have been a 3-4 score game. Like, Green Bay dominated this at all facets. It seemed like the Commanders could really never get anything going offensively. They looked outmatched. Like, if I'm a Commanders fan, I'm worried because this is a team that you're probably going to go against if you are in the playoffs. Like, I would think both of these teams will make it. And the way you looked in Green Bay, you looked terrible. And that's also in a warm weather game too. Like, that's not even to mention, like, when it gets colder, like, that just plays in the Green Bay's favor more. They looked outmatched. Offensively, couldn't get anything going. Like, defensively, they had some stops, but it just seemed like Green Bay was having their way, moving the ball downfield methodically, and Jordan Love looked great. So I'm worried if I'm a Commanders fan. I think you kind of showed a lot of your flaws here and stuff. And, if you can get after Jaden with, 4 pass rushers, you could be in big trouble. And there's some teams in, like Philly as well, where I think they can get after him with 4 guys, and, you're going to get exposed a lot. So I'd definitely be worried if I'm a Commanders fan.
Yeah, I think, I'm more harping on the Packers side of the ball here, just blowing the brakes off of Detroit. And we saw what Detroit just did to Chicago, beating the Commanders from the NFC Championship last year. This defense looks legit for Green Bay, man. I mean, that front seven of course, Micah Parsons, Rashawn Gary, Lucas Van Ness looks significantly better than he was last year. Edrin Cooper is a dog at linebacker. Quay Walker is also playing really well. Then McKinney in the back end, like, dude, this defense is scary. Like, I think the Packers, if Jordan Love is healthy, I don't give a shit who they have at wide receiver, bro. They're going to win a ton of games, and they're a threat to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. Commanders, I wasn't really as high on this year. Like, I still thought they're going to be a pretty good team, but I thought 12 wins last year was, clearly exceeding expectations given the state of the roster. So maybe you're starting to see a little step back. I still think they're going to be a good team, but, obviously not an ideal performance on the road in Green Bay.
No, definitely not. I mean, I will say, Debo Samuel looks good. Terry, not so good.
Yeah. But Terry will get his feet under him, I think.
Yeah. But if you were one of those people that took Debo, took him late in drafts, like right now, he looks like he's obviously not what he was on the 49ers, but doesn't look like he's lost a step since coming over. So you're being rewarded early on. Like, I have him in a couple leagues, and, getting him in that 8th, 9th round is becoming an incredible value.
That is true. I stayed away from Debo in all leagues, and, not super happy about that. Yeah, to be honest. All right, let's get this one over with. Then we touched on a little bit earlier. Cowboys beat the Giants 40-37 in overtime. Brandon Aubrey, I mean, this guy is just an absolute tank. I mean, it's actually unbelievable. 4 for 4 on field goals, long of 64, of course. I mean, he's got more fantasy points than a lot of the guys you took in your 2nd or 3rd rounds out there. So it's actually unbelievable. Dak Prescott, 361, 2 touchdowns, a pick. I mean, he looked great. CeeDee Lamb, 9 for 112. Ferguson, 78. Pickens scored. Turpin looked pretty damn good. Javonte broke off a long run scored another touchdown, 18 for 97. You know, I mean, I don't even think the Dallas offense looked that damn good. Like, it's crazy to me. They ended up hanging that many points, you know? The Giants offense, of course, Russ, 450, 3 touchdowns, a pick. Malik Neighbors just went nuclear, 9 for 167, 2 touchdowns. So did Wan'Dale Robinson, $142 and a touchdown. Scatterboo scored, took over the RB1 role this week. Got significantly more carries than Tyrone Tracy, which is pretty significant, but ultimately...
Definitely significant. I didn't think that was going to happen that quickly.
No, I mean, yeah, week 2, it's crazy it happened that quick. But ultimately, penalties and god-awful defense and play calling from Shane Bowen, the DC for the Giants, too. I'm surprised they didn't get fired today. It's the reason they lost this game. It's unbelievable. It's like this team can't figure out a way to win. Of course, I'm sick to my stomach. Reagan, what do you think about this game? Does it change your mindset of the Dallas Cowboys at all, given how close it was and how bad their defense looked?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would say ultimately it changes my mind about Dallas and the Giants, that both their defenses aren't nearly as good as we had thought. I mean, I know Dallas had some injuries, but that's a lot of points let up by both teams, so they might be teams I'm targeting to go against. And I guess both offenses are also better than I thought. I mean, we saw what, Neighbors could do, and Wan'Dale Robinson as well, kind of a guy that wasn't getting a lot of hype, but I mean, that's a big week for him. So he's a guy, if he's on your waivers, definitely pick up as well. He seems like he's solidified as the number 2 for the Giants. I mean, he kind of already was, but if they could have 2 relevant wide receivers, it's good for that offense in general. And on the Dallas side of things, I mean, it was nice to see both Pickens and Lambs coexist, and then Dak, another good week to build off of him, better for fantasy. But, ultimately, I just don't think either team is going to do much. I don't think, the Giants have enough firepower offensively and defensively to win a ton of games. And on the Dallas side, I think that defense is just cheeks. Like losing Micah and all the injuries and stuff.
Very bad.
Like, they're probably going to only end up being like a 6-7 win team at best. I don't think that's a playoff team either. Because, I mean, we saw they can compete with some of the best, but I think, a lot of these teams with elite offenses are just going to really expose them.
100%. I like the Wan'Dale Robinson call out because he's another guy was still going very late in best ball drafts this year. I got him last year, and just due to pure volume, he had over 90 receptions. He was very viable for best ball. This year looks like a different animal for best ball. I mean, what a performance. Going to win me some of my gauntlet leagues this week, where it's like if you lose, you're out of it. I have Wan'Dale Robinson in 2, and I'm like, holy shit, this is clutch. When you get a 30 bomb from a guy that you take that late, And for betting purposes, fantasy football, I'm saying this coming from a Giants fan. We have the worst run defense in football. And it's unbelievable because Dexter Lawrence has been absent the first 2 weeks. Their DT2 has been a problem for years. Micah McFadden, their best run-stopping linebacker, is out for significant time with a lower leg injury. Bobby Okereke looks slow as shit. This run defense is god-awful. It was one of the worst in the league last year. It's been one of the worst in the league since Joe Shane took over as GM. So when you go to place your wagers on Sundays, when you're thinking, who should I start? Probably think about going with a running back against the New York Giants. All right, let's move on now. I'm sick of those fuckers. Bengals take care of business, 31-27 over the Jags, but at what cost? Losing Joe Burrow in the process.
At what cost?
However, Jake Browning comes in. He does throw 3 interceptions. Not ideal. Does throw for 240, 2 touchdowns, though. Jamar Chase. Hey, I did say in Big Dog's video, I expect a similar stat line to what he did his first game against Jacksonville, where he went 11 for 149 and a touchdown. He did a little bit better. 14 for 165 and a touchdown in this game. Unbelievable. T. Higgins also punched one in. Chase Brown struggled a little bit on the ground. A little bit surprised there. On the Jacksonville side, Trevor Lawrence, 271, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. There's a lot of speculation coming out of Jags camp. You see the video of him waving off Liam Cohen When
I
Combs
did.
like,
I
hit
did.
your guy in the chest and Lawrence is like this. Hey, man, I'm telling you, Trevor Lawrence might be a problem. I don't know. I think he might be a problem here.
Yeah, I saw that. And then, Bo Nix and Sean Payton also going at it. That was another one I saw as well.
Oh, I didn't see that one. I did not see that
I saw one. They showed it on Red Zone. They were like screaming at each other. But that was the Trevor Lawrence one obviously is more significant. I mean, he looked better this week, but still not ideal. I mean, him and Brian Thomas have not been on the same page at all. It was nice to see Tootin getting involved. So if you took him in, best ball leagues, he's already having an impact with his touchdown. I mean, ETN still seems like he's going to get the lion's share, but, even if it's, 67% of the snaps, it's still not bad to have Tootin. Let me ask you this. Are you worried about Jamar Chase for fantasy? Like, he'll still be good, but he's obviously now not going to return on that number one value. I mean, I kind of view him more as like he's still a wide receiver one, but a back end wide receiver one going forward. I don't think he'll be like a top 3 guy now. And same with Higgins. He's got to be downgrade. I mean, everybody gets a downgrade.
Everyone gets a downgrade. Absolutely. Like, if you're going to redo the rankings now, like CeeDee Lamb with Dak Prescott's going to be higher than Jamar Chase, right? Like, do Justin Jefferson higher than Jamar Chase, though, given what he's done with JJ McCarthy?
Yeah, that's true.
And JJ's hurt. Like, I don't know, right? There's Brian Thomas, another guy that we thought was way up there. Like, I don't know. Like, if you're going to redo it right now, do you go CeeDee Lamb number 1 and then Malik Neighbors, Puka Nacua above Chase? Like, I think it's a viable question. The quarterback situation. He is quarterback at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. Yeah, I probably lean, like Puka and, Malik Neighbors and, some of those other guys over him right now. And the same with T. Higgins. I mean, I probably view him more as a back end wide receiver too, if not a flex at this point. I don't know if I'm viewing him as. I don't know if I'd be happy if he's my wide receiver one on a team. If you went running backs early, or one of those upper echelon tight ends or a quarterback, I wouldn't be happy at all with that.
Yeah, and it's also like I don't really believe in Zach Taylor as a play caller and a play designer. Anyways, like the Cincinnati Bengals have one of the most like vanilla run games. I think they just sit in shotgun all day, and those run like when you play Madden, like inside zone on repeat, like that's literally what they do. So, it's going to be tough for this offense to move the ball with Browning, I think, of course, compared to Burrow. But I mean, it's a wait and see. At least we have some game action to rely upon from Jake Browning in 2023. But I don't know. This is certainly not ideal for this offense as a whole. For the Jags side, though, I mean, ETN scored, looked really good. Tootin as well. Like ETN still had he had 14 to 8 carries. He still had 70% of the snaps. He still ran a route way more when they were passing. So he's still the lead back, but you are going to see some reward with Tootin now since Tank Bigsby out of the picture. And we saw that both running backs getting in the end zone while Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas, the elite wide receiver duo, supposedly struggle a little bit. I don't know. Might be a Trevor Lawrence problem. I don't know. I might be out on T-Law, man.
Yeah, I mean,
weapons, got the coach.
I don't know. It's still early. It's still early, but yeah, it's definitely a concern to me for sure.
All right, let's move on. Lions take care of the Bears 52-21. That is an unbelievable score. They just boat raced them. Goff 334, 5 touchdowns. Great call out of Reagan. His 5-unit play, 300+ yards. He knew revenge game was coming. Amon-Ra St. Brown, along with that revenge game, 9 for 115 and 3 touchdowns. Jameson Williams, how about averaging 54 yards a catch, 108 and a touchdown. Brock Wright even scored, not Sam LaPorta. Tough for fantasy managers. But both Gibbs and Montgomery got in. I know we talked about last week. You're like, I hope you have one of these backs. And I'm like, I don't know which one to pick. They both scored. Didn't matter. So, it's just a boat racing for Detroit. Nothing really to write home about for Chicago here besides Rome Odunze, 7 for 128, 2 touchdowns. Caleb got picked, took 4 sacks. Run game was ass. Swift did score, but, losing a lot of carries, the Kyle Monungai in this matchup. Interesting as well. I mean, you take the 4 away,
I know
man.
Roshan obviously wasn't active. But yeah, that's definitely something of note. I mean, Swift was still more efficient with the 5.3 to the 4. I mean, is it more of a question of, they're down late and they're, bringing in some of their backups? Probably, but it's definitely, something of note there. I know Monungai has been one of the most popular names thrown out there in terms of like dynasty stashes, redraft stashes, best ball last round picks. Is one of those running backs that could take over. Him, Bill, Tootin, some of the most popular names. On the Lions side, man, so impressive. I mean, Goff looked great. Both running backs getting in. When you put up 52 points, you'd like to see more carries, but I mean, it was a pretty even split, so it seems like that's going to be the same. But I mean, honestly, if you're a Gibbs owner, you're kind of upset with this game because when you see 52 points, you'd hope for more than 100 total yards and a touchdown. You almost feel like you got gypped, and the same with Montgomery. But obviously, St. Brown having the 3 touchdowns is massive. I mean, unbelievably massive.
Yeah.
And I actually went out and acquired him and bought him on the cheap, because the guys that had him were so nervous and like, yeah, maybe this offense is cooked after 1 week. And I'm like, dude, he's a first-round pick, late first round or early second, depending on, your platform and stuff. I'm like, he's going to bounce back. So I bought him on the cheap, and, I'm happy I acquired him because he still seems – and that's another guy too. Like, do you view him higher as Chase at this point too, with Browning? I mean –
well, that's the thing with the Lions is like it could be anyone's week, right? Like Gibbs and Montgomery could combine for 4 touchdowns next week, Like it's just an offense where it's going to always be someone else's time to shine, and they got so many guys. But like that's definitely a really good sign for the Detroit Lions this season, and maybe that's more of a tip of the cap to Green Bay and what that defense is going to be this season.
Yeah, no, I definitely think it is. But
I don't know.
I mean, you
Chase
definitely
or Amon-Ra, tough now with no Burrow.
Yeah, I just know it's a great sign if you're a Lions fan, and for those people doubting the Lions, it seems like they're fine. And Chicago, it seems like once again is just behind schedule. I mean, it's early. You got to give Ben Johnson time, but if I'm a Bears fan, I'm not happy through 2 weeks. I mean, granted, it's 2 teams that won 14 games you played in the first 2 weeks last year, so it's not exactly like you've had the draw going against 2 of those juggernauts. But you would have loved to win last week. But it is what it is. But long season.
Let's move on here. The Rams take care of business against the Titans on the road, 33-19. Did you know in the Rams' last 11 games, they're 9-2 with those only 2 losses being to the Philadelphia Eagles, who they have upcoming in Week 3? That is a crazy thing to think about.
Yeah.
That all the Rams do is win if it's not against the defending Super Bowl champions. Stafford, 298, 2 touchdowns, a pick. Only got sacked once, so offensive line doing really well there in L.A. Kyren Williams did not punch one in, had a decent day on the ground, I guess. Puka Nacua scored from 45 away in the ground. Blake Corum snaked the touchdown from Kyren Williams. Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua both with awesome games. Puka 91, Devontae 106, and a touchdown. This offense looks really damn good, man. I was on the fence with the spread. I'm glad I ended up going with the Rams because I thought this Titans team and Cam Ward could keep it close. But, Cam Ward had a fumble. Didn't look great. I mean, the guy just needs more help out wide, man. Like, I know Eumenor scored a touchdown and Calvin Ridley had a decent day. But
well, he's a must pick up in dynasty leagues. If he's out there, which he may be in a lot of dynasty leagues and even redraft leagues, I think he's a must pick up right now. Like through 2 weeks, I mean, the first week wasn't great, but the targets were there. And then, having the 4 catches to 56 yards and the touchdown, like to me, he's a must pick up if he's in your redraft leagues or your dynasty leagues. Cause I think, Ridley doesn't concern me long-term. And I think they're going to, establish a nice little relationship, but he already seems like he's, got that number 2 role carved out and could potentially take over as the 1. And in any league, I mean, wide receiver 1s on the respective teams need to be rostered and are typically startable for fantasy football. So definitely got to keep an eye on as the season goes longer.
I also think if you're a Cam Ward dynasty holder, you got to be feeling pretty good after 2 weeks, although it's not showing up in the win-loss column or maybe the stats right now. The guy's making some pretty impressive throws, and I think he has the tools and the arm talent to be a legit quarterback in this league. Again, it's just the offensive line needs more time to gel, and he doesn't really have the weapons right now. And I'm not sure this is the right coaching staff to help him get to the next level, which if this Titan team continues on this trajectory, there will be a new offensive-minded coach in town next year, I would imagine.
Yeah, I would imagine if, you're completely right there. I agree with you in that sense. And Tony Pollard looked good again. And then on the Rams side, I just want to highlight, I mean, it does seem like Adams and Nacua coexisted well here. I mean, both guys having, 9 targets apiece. I mean, Adams had 13 targets, so love to see that. He gets in. Nacua has the rushing touchdown. So it seems like they can coexist, similar to what Kupp and Nacua we saw. So love to see that. And, just a good win for the Rams. I mean, that division, with 3 teams that are 2-0 right now, and Seattle, obviously got to 1-1. So the NFC West is 7-1 through 2 weeks.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Not like, Arizona's played any juggernauts, but they beat the Saints and the Panthers. So that'll change for sure. All right, moving on. The Pats go on the road and beat the Dolphins 33-27. Stupid me for thinking Mike McDaniel could fucking get a win at home here. That defense is god awful. Holy shit. Like that. Yeah. You know what? They got some names up front. Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips, Chop Robinson, Kenneth Grant they took in the first round, Zach Sealer. What the fuck is going on with his defense, bro? You let up 33 to the Pats after letting up over 30 to the Colts, who didn't even punt against you. Drake May looked awesome, 232 touchdowns, also added a touchdown on the ground. The running back split here, I don't fucking get what's going on there either for the Pats. Ramondre Stevenson leading with 11 carries. Travion only getting 3. I mean, a good game for Ramondre, but what the hell's going on here?
Even Gibbs had more carries than Henderson.
Yeah, Gibson had 5 carries, so I don't really know what's going on there, and it's really bothering me.
Well, that was my point though. Like that, the Ramondre's they're paying him the money. Like I think they're gonna run him into the ground, and then eventually Henderson will take over. That's why, like, I know you're super high on Henderson. I mean, the season's still long, but I was like, I don't know if I can buy into this yet because I thought Ramondre would have a big role, which doesn't help if you're a fantasy owner of either guy. Because I mean, like, yeah, Ramondre had all the touches this week, and a lot of people who probably had him as a handcuff or maybe a viable flex option, like you're gonna want to play him next week because the guy just had over almost 140 all-purpose yards with 16 touches and was involved in the receiving game. But it's still not pretty. It's still not a situation you love. And even the wide receiver core didn't do great this week. I mean, Booty was a guy that had a good week 1 and, saved you with the touchdown. I mean, even Diggs is still only 4 for 32 and, Hunter Henry wasn't involved. So right now for this New England offense, there's not a whole lot of guys I'm interested in for fantasy. I mean, big win for NFL wise. But that's kind of an
awful secondary it's an awful secondary for Miami too, which makes it even worse that they didn't light it up through the air. I mean, they still hung 33 points, so it worked out. But
I'm surprised. I mean, they had a kick return touchdown too, which is big from Gibson.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. For Miami, Tua threw for 315, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Running game again, non-existent. 11 for 30 for Devon Achane. This offensive line is garbage. Tyreek 6 for 109. You love to see that. Achane had 92 and a touchdown through the air. Jalen Waddle also scored with 68 yards. So the big 3 receiving wise for Miami panned out, but wasn't enough to get the win when your offensive line is that bad. And you know what? You can't guard a traffic cone.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is nice to see Hill get over that. I mean, they got to establish the run somehow. I mean, only 15 for 61. That's terrible on the ground. That you can't have that. I mean, it was nice to see both Hill and Waddle have big games. I mean, Achane, I guess he's going to be great for fantasy this year. He's just so involved in the passing game. I mean, I believe he has he is in this game alone. He had more receiving yards, but he's been way better as a receiver than he has been a running back. So I guess this is their offense and stuff. And I mean, that's one of the reasons he's going so early in fantasy drafts. But the Dolphins are in big, big, big trouble. I mean, they got 2 division games coming up with the Bills and the Jets. I mean, the Jets obviously is a very winnable game, but going on the road to Buffalo, you're probably falling to 0-3. And that's going to be funny because we're going to have a Monday night game in week 4 where it's probably 2 0-3 teams between the Dolphins and the Jets. Luckily, that is a doubleheader. So, it looks like the NFL did their due diligence, but that's lining up to be a pretty fucking ugly game in Miami. The Caleb Dean game.
I will say the Dolphins, for fantasy purposes, are going to be very awesome, especially Achane and Hill, I think, is going to bounce back, even more so than what he did this week and get in the end zone because they're going to allow a shit ton of points. They're going to be throwing the ball around the yard all season long. So as long as Tua is healthy, the pass catching options for Miami are definitely going to be very good in fantasy. And hey, Tyreek Hill said to the reporter last week, "You trying to piss me off, man?" Because they were like, "It's been a year since you had a catch for over 30 yards." He did get that done this week. So it's just
Good job,
poetic
reporter.
how
Good
it
job,
happens.
reporter. That's why you piss him off. That's
Moving
why you piss him
on,
off.
the Niners take care of the Saints on the road, 26-21. They do cover the spread with Mac Jones, who looked great, 279, 3 touchdowns. Jawan Jennings scored. So did McCaffrey through the air with 52. Luke Farrell, of course, got in the end zone. McCaffrey, 13 for 55 on the ground. Nothing crazy there. Pearsall, 4 for 56. You know what? They didn't turn the ball over. Mac Jones played a damn good game. I mean, Rattler played pretty well, too. 207, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Kamara ran for 99. You know, he spread the ball around. Rashid Shaheed and Jawan Johnson scored. So did Devon Vele, who they traded that 4th-round pick for, his only catch of the day. Ultimately, it was not enough for New Orleans to get the win at home here. I mean, I guess Spencer Rattler technically is not a backup, but Mac Jones, backup quarterback. Your thoughts in this game? Nothing really crazy to me sticks out. I thought it'd be a close one with the backup quarterback, Mac Jones, but I thought they get it done. Just a much better team than the Saints are.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest thoughts are that Kyle Shanahan's got his guy. I mean,
is it Mac?
Nah, I don't know about that, but it just shows how good he is at getting the most out of quarterbacks. Granted, it's the Saints, but still, I mean, Mac Jones went out there and put up a big game. Even with no Kittle either, no Ayuk. So missing 2 of his top, 5 pass catchers. Still being able to get it done, and I guess maybe the Saints will be more relevant for fantasy than we gave them credit for. I mean, through 2 weeks, at least Rattlers seemed competent enough to keep them in games. I mean, look. I mean, a lot of people projected this to be the worst team in the league, and through 2 weeks, they've lost both games by 1 score. So they've been, way more competitive than a lot of other teams in this league. I mean, they're not getting blown out. They're playing good football, defensively especially. I will say if Jawan Jennings is in your, is a waiver in your waivers, he's a must pick up at the tight end position. Rattler's been targeting him like crazy, 20 targets through 2 games. So that's a must pick up. Any tight end you can get that's getting, close to double-digit targets in any game is gold, especially because he is on the free agent market. But it's also nice, too. Like, if you took Kamara, I was really down on him, but, the 99 yards on the ground plus 6 catches for 21 yards, very solid. Love to see that. And on the 49ers side, at least, like McCaffrey's still going to get his. He was involved as a pass catcher. So, for those that may have been worried without Brock Purdy, it seems like he didn't take a step back. And also another big game from Nick Bosa. Love that as well. Getting the sack, getting the 9 tackles. So, 2 sacks already this year and a forced fumble. So I'm loving what I'm seeing from him for that depoy case. But, another big win for the Niners. And I think they'll be all right. I think if they can, stay healthy, I mean, they got some winnable games coming up between the Cardinals and the Jaguars, both at home, which bodes well for them that you can start 2-0 on the road. And, Mac Jones at home, it's going to be a better situation. And then they don't have to rush Brock Purdy back.
Yeah, Shanahan's a damn good coach, man. That team just...
That he is.
They just... It doesn't matter with the injuries, man. They got some voodoo magic where they could still win these games. But, the joke running right now is if McCaffrey's healthy, everyone else gets hurt. When McCaffrey's out, everyone else stays healthy. So, they got McCaffrey. He's rolling. Keep feeding the horse.
No, man.
All right, Reagan.
McCaffrey is, in my opinion, and this might be a hot take, he is the most valuable non-quarterback offensively in the league. I don't think there's any other player that's as valuable to his team that if you take off. Because we saw what happened last year when he was there and not on the field. And the year prior, I think they were like, whenever they got him, they went like 11-0 when they traded for him from Carolina. So he's so freaking valuable to that offense where I think, I mean, obviously there's other teams where you could point to it and they're not as top heavy, but I think some of the other teams in the league, you can take away like one offensive player and they still could hum. I mean, is there any other guys that come to mind that you would take away? Hypothetically,
I automatically think like a receiver in Lamb, Chase, you know what I mean?
But even like, I mean, Lamb's fair. Chase, I think they're still okay because they still have Chase Brown. They still have T. Higgins. Lamb is fair because I don't think, but even then you still have George Pickens, they still have like a viable number 2 that you could think could step in and, produce for the offense.
Yeah, I mean, I almost wanted to think of the star left tackles too, like no Trent Williams, so the Niners still doing what they're doing with McCaffrey, you know?
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. Just
All right,
just some
buddy, we got to talk
hypotheticals.
about Jets. It's time. It's time. 10 beat down the Bills, Jets. James, hell of a game, running 32, 2 touchdowns. Josh Allen didn't. All right, bud. Unfortunately, it's time to talk about your Jets. Just getting throttled by the Bills at home, 30-10. Josh Allen really didn't have to do much. He ran for 59 on the ground, battled through a nosebleed, got hit in the face. Threw for only 148 in this game. It was the James Cook show. 21 carries, 132, and 2 touchdowns. Of course, Elijah Moore revenge game. He got in the end zone too against the Jets. Receiving-wise, nothing really to write home about. For the Jets on offense, Justin Fields obviously left with the concussion. Tyrod Taylor came in through a touchdown. But, I was disappointed with the run game here for sure. Breece Hall, 10 for 29. Braylon Allen, 2 for 11. It's clear, though, this is no timeshare that everyone was talking about. This is Breece Hall's backfield to lose. That's my biggest takeaway for the Jets. For the Bills, biggest takeaway is James Cook. Disrespectful that he was going in the 4th round, maybe late 3rd in fantasy drafts.
I mean, I'm not thrilled. This game sucked to go to a Jet fan. We kind of got exposed. It kind of showed that we can't pass the ball, and on top of that, outside of Garrett Wilson, there's nobody on that offense that's going to beat you in the receiving game. Even defensively, I mean, they got absolutely exposed. They made James Cook looked amazing, and he probably could have done a lot more if he didn't have a terrible fumble. Josh Allen banged up. It doesn't matter. They just seemed like we're getting everything they wanted. It just shows that the Jets are a very incomplete team right now with a lot of holes, and it shows Buffalo, their defense isn't bad. It's just, hey, you went Baltimore, or maybe they're middle of the pack. But, they're not also not terrible. The Jets offense is not nearly what Baltimore offense is. We both thought Breece was going to have a big game here. He obviously didn't, but it's hard to run the ball when it's kind of predictable. And it's like, hey, why don't we stack the box and make Justin Fields and, beat us? And it's like, all right, if Garrett Wilson beats us, fine. But we know for a fact none of these other pass catchers are beating us. So that was kind of evident. But James Cook, man, that one run was incredible. I mean, that was all him. He got to the first level, made one move, and he was gone, and just has that top-end speed to just cook everybody.
Yeah, dude, that run was disgusting. People sleep on the tools that James Cook has and the traits, he's not just a back in a high-powered offense and gets touchdown opportunities, and that's why he's fantasy relevant. The guy's got some traits too, which make him, somewhat special, and that's why he got a second contract in Buffalo, and they believe in him. He looks legit. He's also very viable as a receiver as well. So, yeah, big James Cook fan.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on here. We still got 6 games to go through, so trying to fly through them for you folks. The Ravens, this would be one we could fly through. Just beat the brakes off of Cleveland, 41-17. Look, I can tell you the stats. Lamar threw 4 touchdowns. DeAndre Hopkins, the meme going around is, the tweet, my aunt just woke up from a 13-year coma, and all the tweets are like, let her know that DeAndre Hopkins is still doing it. So, yeah, he absolutely is. Devontae Walker, 2 catches for 2 touchdowns. Tyler Wallace scored. I mean, it was just a party in Baltimore, except for Derrick Henry, who got shut down, actually. After Grant Delpit was saying how easy it was to tackle Derrick Henry, just ironically enough.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely something to be concerned about, because this is one that you would think is a plus matchup, because Henry obviously can get taken out, and that's always been the big reason for why he falls and isn't a first-round pick, because you'd be like, oh, last week, why is this guy not a first-round pick? But then you remember, in a bad matchup, he's not involved, and he gets phased out because he's not going to be the third down back. So if you're in garbage time trailing, he's not going to be on the field. But this was one I don't think any Derrick Henry owner expected. They thought this was going to be a big matchup where, Baltimore would put up 40-something points, which they did. Just doesn't get in the end zone and not efficient at all. So what the hell happened in this 1 week span? But they really weren't able to run the ball, and that might be a credit to Cleveland as well. Maybe this is a team to avoid with running backs. You have one of those flex-worthy running backs, maybe look for other options because it's like, hey, Cleveland's very stingy on the ground because, granted, Chase Brown scored a touchdown the week prior, but he didn't have a crazy week outside of that, the one touchdown run. He wasn't super efficient either. So maybe Cleveland, and, it could be, the fact that they have a healthy defensive line that's stacked, and they've obviously took Mason, early on in that interior, is a matchup to avoid for fantasy football. And it was also nice to see. Yeah, and it was also nice, I'm not going to lie, to see Mecca Buka touchdown. That's nice if you have him.
Oh, I got him in fantasy. Let's go!
But it was also nice to see Dylan Gabriel, granted garbage time, get in, but that was nice. And Quinshon Judkins, I'm sure all the owners are rejoicing. I know he got more than they said, but I think a lot of the reason he got more than they said was because it was garbage time. So, but it does seem like it's going to be his backfield very soon. I'd imagine Jerome Ford's going to be the odd guy out because Sampson definitely looks like he has more juice out of the two. And, he's the rookie that they drafted in the 4th round. And while 4th round isn't crazy capital, it's still significant enough capital that I think it'll be Judkins first, Sampson 2, and Ford will be the guy that either gets traded away, which is very possible as well with a lot of teams, having some injuries. So he's a name I could actually see getting traded over to the Commanders as well. So we'll see as the season goes on, but I can't wait for Dylan Gabriel. It's nice to see also in that aspect that they stuck with it and they said he's our number 2 and he was the first guy up. So for anyone who has him in Dynasty, it's nice to see him getting that. And it probably means, when they eventually try to give one of these a chance, it's going to be Gabriel before Sanders.
Yeah, I think if you're a Browns fan, you're happy that you saw the young buck get in there because, the Browns thing at 0-2, just getting the brakes blown off them. It's like, all right, what's the point here, and continue to start with Joe Flacco unless you don't think one of these young guys is ready. So it's good that you gave Gabriel some reps to help him get towards, okay, like you're a starter now and you need some reps, right? So that's huge. Quinshon Judkins, I love that he got more carries than every other back. I love that he had 3 catches for 10 yards. I love that he busted out a run of 31 yards for his first game action in quite a while. Obviously not having any camp to work to build up his endurance with the team, So I love that as a Quinshon Judkins fantasy holder. His role is only going to grow. I think in probably a month, it's going to be Dylan Gabriel and Quinshon Judkins leading this offense, hopefully to more points than 17 that they put up against the Ravens. But yeah, I think this Browns defense is something to be wary of for fantasy purposes and for gambling purposes when you're targeting.
And I do wonder with Browns fans, if you are a Browns fan and you happen to be listening, let us know in the comments, like, would you rather see, or you don't even have to be a Browns fan, but like, would you rather see Gabriel or Sanders? To me, I want to see Gabriel because I think he's very good. I think he fits that same mold of these older quarterbacks that played a lot of college football and will succeed early on because they've seen a lot. They're not going to struggle. You're not going to see the growing pains because they're coming in at 23, 24, playing a lot of football. Like Dylan Gabriel almost set the record for most touchdown passes. Did he set? I forget. Did he break the record? Or he was damn near close to most touchdown passes in a career in like all of NCAA because the fucker played like 6 years of college football.
He did. Yeah,
right?
He was close. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's a guy that's played a lot of college football. So I'd love to see him come in, and I really hope he does.
All right, let's move on here. Colts take care of the Broncos 29-28. I know we touched a lot on Daniel Jones earlier, so we won't harp on that. He threw for 316 and a touchdown and also had a rushing touchdown again. So great game for DJ. Happy for him. Jonathan Taylor looks like an absolute menace. 25 for 165. Holy shit. If this guy can stay healthy, this Colts team might be able to push for the playoffs the way that he looks. Tyler Warren, leading receiver, 4 for 79. He looks like a stud. Jonathan Taylor also added 50 yards and a touchdown through the air. So over 200 total yards for JT in this one. Not as big of a game for Pittman or for the other receivers. They all were solid, around 40 to 70 yards, the rest of the crew here. For the Broncos, Bo Nix did look better. Threw for 3 touchdowns. Did have a pick, not ideal. J.K. Dobbins, still the lead back, 1476 and a touchdown. Meanwhile, R.J. Harvey, 5 for 8. Very notable for fantasy holders. Definitely. And then the receiving game, it was Cortland Sutton with 1 catch for 6 yards, but it was Troy Franklin, the former Oregon Duck, with Bo Nix, 8 for 89 and a touchdown. Leading receiver, looked really damn good. And of course, at the end of the game, how do you call a leverage flag as time's expiring to move up 15 yards from 60 to 45 to then re-kick the field goal? How do you make that call? Leverage as time expires. if you're the Broncos, how are you that stupid to allow that to be called? To lose the game.
I think it's more, how are you that stupid? I'm fine with the call. Like, if you're doing it, it's just like it comes down to like some of these players where it's just like, why? Like, how are you that dumb? It's like some of the late hits you get on these quarterbacks where it's like going to happen in the Jets game, and it was early on. It's 3rd and 19. Josh Allen's throwing the ball away, and you're fucking lighting them up. It's just some of these players are so like not aware of their situation. Like, why? You don't even need to block a 60-yarder. Like, odds are it's a young kicker who hasn't been in that spot. Like, you don't need to do that. Like, fine, if you want to leverage on like a 30-yarder where it's like a chip shot and you need to see if you can get away with it, that's fine. But why even try to do it when it's 60 yards? Like, you don't need that extra advantage. I understand, like, on other times, like when it's closer and it's like trying to see if you can get away with something, fine. But to me, that was dumb. I mean, on the Broncos side first, I mean, Evan Ingram, like, unfortunately has not been involved at all. So I hate to see that. You know, I was super excited for him and what he could do with them, but through 2 weeks, he's been like a non-factor.
Oh, yeah, one catch. Sorry. One
like
catch
Sutton, I'm not worried about. Whole bounce back. I think that's just a weird one-off. I guess J.K. Dobbins is the guy to have. He might be a guy to go out and try to target from some people. And then on the Colts side of things, I mean, JT, I said it. I thought he was going to have a big week. He played the Broncos really well last year with a similar defense, and I had a feeling he would play well again. He just plays really well against Denver. I don't know why, but it's also pretty clear, like, Daniel Jones is going to keep this job for a while now. Like, he probably bought himself at least another – he may have bought himself the whole season. I mean, I can't say for certain because if they start to lose, like, they're going to go quick, but he's at least bought himself a couple losses now where, like, if they lose the next 2 or 3, like, he's still going to keep the job. He's looked good. And JT, man, I mean, as long as Daniel Jones is a quarterback, I think he's going to have some big fantasy weeks, and he'll probably return on value. Like, he's a guy where could he be the number 1 fantasy running back? If Jones is a quarterback, I think it's possible. If Anthony Richardson comes in, he's fucked. He's fucked.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think Daniel Jones, as long as he doesn't get hurt or they don't go on some crazy, awful skid, it's definitely his job. I mean, why would you go with Richardson now? I mean, they haven't punted in 2 weeks. You know what I mean? With Richardson, he couldn't even complete half your passes. So, yeah, he definitely bought himself a lot of time. All right, let's move on here. The Cardinals take care of business against the Panthers. All right, moving on here. The Cardinals take care of the Panthers at home, not without a sweat, though. Almost blowing that game at the end. Kyler Murray, man. What are you doing? Can never make it easy, this guy. And they did get the win, 27-22. Kyler, 220, touchdown, a pick. The run game non-existent for Arizona. Connor did score, though. I mean, McBride, 78. Marr, very quiet. J.C. Horn is that dog, apparently, huh? But,
yeah,
you know, I mean, I can't believe Arizona let him get back into this game here at the end. Bryce Young, it looked like another bad start, but then came back, threw the ball 55 times. Holy shit. 328, 3 touchdowns and a pick. The run game for Carolina was non-existent, but Tet McMillan, first 100-yard game, 6 for 100 yards for the rookie, and then Bryce Young spread it out really well. Did fumble the ball, so 2 turnovers for Bryce. Not ideal. When he played really good at the end of last year, he was protecting the football. So 2 more turnovers is not great, but at least he was able to stage a comeback, even though they fell just short.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I was happy with how he looked. I mean, that was my 1 unit play was over 250. But you know, they almost won that freaking game.
I know, dude.
You know,
so bad.
And I'm pissed. You know, the 40-1 was staring me in the face, and you know, I sprinkled a little bit on it when they were down huge, and I was like, holy shit, like that ticket's alive. But you know, ultimately they lost, but it's all right. I mean, they, you know, Cardinals, man, like I would be worried with your defense a little bit down the stretch. Like, I know it was prevent and stuff, but that's not ideal. And like, I never understand why these teams take their foot off the gas pedal. Like, the Panthers couldn't get anything going, so why go in the prevent? You had nothing going. You know, Bryce, obviously the huge game, probably never the recipe to win, but Ted is that guy, 6 for 100. You love to see that. You know, another big week for him. He's solidifying himself as, you know, one of these next step wide receivers early on. So that, and he had a sick one-handed catch that didn't count, which I don't know. Did you see that?
Oh, on the sideline, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that was fucking nuts.
Yeah. So that was awesome to see. Cardinals side of things, I mean, Kyler had a good game. I mean, he was super efficient. One bad pick, but I mean, he also got hit when he threw it. I mean, James Conner owners should be happy in the sense that, he was 11-3 in terms of him to Benson, but only 82 rushing yards against one of the worst rushing defenses in the league. That is not ideal. I mean, granted, you got it done in different ways and you didn't fully need it, but to me, in a game where you're up big, like there should be way more carries and should have been way more efficient. I don't know how you feel about that, but I'd be a little worried about these Arizona running backs. If they can't do it against the Panthers, who can you do it against?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, sometimes you have some bad games. I don't know if I'm more concerned about James Conner and Trey Benson or perhaps the interior of that Arizona offensive line, which I'm not necessarily high on, although I think their tackle duo is pretty solid in Paris Johnson and Williams. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's not ideal because Carolina can get like absolutely gashed on the ground. They were the worst run defense last year. Maybe, Derek Brown is having that big of an impact. Not sure. Not ideal, but hey, at least they got out of there with a win. You're 2-0, which if you're a Cardinals fan before the season, you're thinking we got to start 2-0. Got to with the Saints and the Panthers. So they got that done. Let's move on now to the game of the week. Well, it was supposed to be on paper. It wasn't necessarily the most exciting game. Eagles get the win at Arrowhead, 20-17, led by the tush-push. Jalen Hurts throwing for 100 yards. That was it. Threw for 100 yards. He's completed 2 passes more than 10 yards down the field thus far this season, by the way. And the Eagles sit at 2-0. So, I mean.
That's the thing that sucks because it's like they don't – it's just like everyone's like, oh, he sucks. It's like they're winning games, though. It's like they just like don't need him. It's like why would you do anything special? It's like winning games. Like they don't care about your fantasy football teams. They don't care about stats. They just want to win. I mean, it's the same way A.J. Brown's barely been utilized because they just don't need it. Like they're just doing it in ways. And I mean, granted, it's a different play caller than Kellen Moore, but we saw this shift, and it just seems like they want to be a run-first team, and they're going to utilize Saquon's, as a runner, and then they're going to utilize Hurts's legs, and they're not going to ask him to do anything crazy. I mean, hey, if it's winning games and you're playing good defense, who cares? Who cares? I mean, Philly looks legit. They looked primed to, return to the playoffs, and on the Kansas City side, I mean, first off, crazy that Patrick Mahomes has 2 games already with over 50-plus rushing yards and a touchdown. I mean, I think he might be leading. I'm not 100% sure. I didn't look at this, but he might be leading all quarterbacks right now in rushing yards through 2 weeks. I mean,
I wouldn't be
for
shocked.
fantasy, he's the number 4 fantasy quarterback right now, averaging 24 a game. So, he really hasn't been doing well as a passer, but he's just been getting it done with his legs. And 2 weeks already of, finishing as a top 12 quarterback. So it's great if you took him early, especially with, the Burrow news and, similar guy that was a pocket passer in that range.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, for the Eagles, they ran 7 tush pushes, which was over 20% of their play calls, which is just asinine. I think it is so clear this play is going to get banned after the season because it's clear on video that they're lining up off sides and the offensive linemen are going before the snap. It's like, and Dean Blandino's on the call, which, hey, I'm not a big ref guy. Don't get me wrong. Like, I don't root for the refs. I think when the refs like Dean Blandino, Mike Pereira get on, I'm like, shut the fuck up. Like, let him play. But when you could tell in his voice, it's like, this is such a difficult play to officiate because you can't see what's going on. And they just smash each other. It's like very evident that the Eagles are getting away with penalties almost every time they run it. It's bullshit. And I guarantee it's going to get banned this offseason. No doubt in my mind. It's not good football. Roger Goodell does not want this in the game. It's not fun to watch. What you want to watch is a fucking jump ball to A.J. Brown or Saquon Barkley trying to get the edge, not this bullshit. So it's going to be gone. For the Chiefs, Mahomes looked great. Kelce played all right. At the end of the day, for me, it's a game where I thought they were going to win at the end. And unfortunately, Kelce just didn't catch the football, got picked at the goal line. If they score a touchdown there, I do think Kansas City wins this game. It just sucks that Kelce let him down like that.
You see that lineman, too, on Kansas City hawk him down? Fucking hell of an effort player.
Yeah, Josh Simmons, there. The rookie left tackle.
Oh, is that who it was? Yeah.
Yeah, who missed most of last year with a blown-out knee. So that is what you love to see from your rookie.
He was moving, bro.
Yeah, meanwhile, Kelce wasn't moving. He put his hands up. He was like, put his hands up. He wasn't running, dude. I'm really not a big Kelce fan.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This offense is definitely in a bad spot. I mean, And also, dude, another bad week of Pacheco, man. Like, I would be selling, like I keep saying,
you
sell
can't
your
start anyone in this backfield. You can't start anybody.
No. But, I mean, 10 for 22, I mean, it would just, ew. And, I mean, he was 1 for 7. And, like, dude, he's just not good. I mean, and he's probably going to – the Giants still have a great interior. So, if you can't get it done against the Giants next week in a game that should be, positive for them where they should have the lead, I mean, when can you really play him? I mean, I would be – it's hard to say sell because you're probably selling at its floor, but, like, I don't think you can start him. Like, if he has another dud next week, like, he's a must bench for me. That's why I was staying away from him in fantasy.
I think, like, he might even have a game next week where it's going to be like 40, 50 yards rushing. You think that's, like, a step in the right direction. But against the Giants' run defense, how they looked, like, anything less than that, I think it's a dud. Like, it's just to put him on the bench and don't even think about it until he gives you 2 or 3 weeks of consistent play to put him back on the field. I don't know, man. They got to figure out that backfield. They need a running back, a new one in the draft this year. Pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's talk about the Sunday night game. Not at all how I expected this one to go. The Falcons walk into Minnesota and beat the brakes off of the Vikings in a game where a lot of people thought was an absolute snooze fest. I mean, McCarthy will start in the Vikings end, obviously out now with the high ankle sprain, so going to miss a couple weeks. 2 interceptions, fumbled 3 times, losing only 1. Just god awful. And everyone was probably thinking the fourth quarter, like, oh, here it comes. Here comes NFC Offensive Player of the Week, JJ McCarthy, turning it on at the end, but that did not happen. Jefferson, outside of that 50-yard reception, didn't really do much. I mean, so did no one on this offense. McCarthy really struggled. He also got sacked 6 times, which is not ideal for this with this Minnesota offensive line. For the Falcons, I mean, it was just kind of the Bijan Robinson show, running for 143 on 22 carries. Also, Algier got 16 carries, 76 yards, and a touchdown. Bijan did not score. Algier got it, but Bijan had nearly 175 total yards. Drake London fumbled. All right, last game here, Sunday Night Football. A lot of people calling a snooze fest. The Falcons roll into Minneapolis and beat the Vikings 22-6. Not how I expected this one to go. McCarthy looked awful, throwing 2 picks, fumbling 3 times, only losing 1 of them. Fortunately, the offense, I mean, pick your poison. It didn't look great. Jefferson, besides that 50-yard reception, this offense didn't really do anything. And now also Aaron Jones, forgot to mention the news, has a hamstring, so he might miss next week. So Jordan Mason is definitely live going into Cincinnati. For Atlanta, it was the running backs that really took over this game, ran the ball 39 times compared to 21 passes. Bijan 143, Algier 76 and a touchdown. Drake London, a tough fumble, not the best start to his season. I'm still not panicking for fantasy purposes because he was so damn good with Penix down the stretch last year, but it's also not ideal that he turned the ball over, and this Falcons passing attack has not clicked just yet. Your thoughts
He's a buy
on what
low
the
for
people
me.
are calling a snooze fest?
He's a buy low for me, Drake London right now. Like, I think you can try to get him for cheaper, and I think he's going to have better days ahead. On the Falcons, I thought they looked good. I mean, you'd like to see the offense punch a few of them in. And Kyle Pitts looked good, too, early on with Penix. But, yeah, I mean, a lot of field goals, not ideal. 5 field goals from a lot of short-range ones. Like, this game could have been way worse. And it was cool to both James Pierce on the defensive and Jalen Walker on the defensive side of the ball having big impacts. Both of those guys, I mean, at least on last night, looked like they're big hits for that defensive front. On the Vikings side
Xavier
of things,
Watts. And Xavier Watts,
Xavier Watts
with the pick. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it looks like a good class for Atlanta.
Yeah, no, definitely looks like a good defensive class. And, on the Vikings side of the ball, it's just that offense looked terrible. I mean, it might not be the worst thing. I mean, it sounds like McCarthy's definitely going to be out next week, so Wentz will play. But it might not be bad for him to sit a week, take a step back, watch a little bit, see what happens. Because that offense was not humming, and especially Aaron Jones is going to help. But also take another week off, and you'll get Jordan Addison back when you come back, as well as Aaron Jones. So, that's a good way to look at it, too, by week 4. Because it is obvious, like, not having Addison hurts, because he does so much. Obviously Jefferson's a big guy, but having Addison there takes so much pressure off of Jefferson.
Oh, absolutely. Felt fans, we know it was a long one. We appreciate you sticking with us. Drop a comment, drop a like, drop a sub. Let us know what surprised you most in week 2. What do you like in fantasy? Who you buying? Who you selling? We'll catch you soon here on Around the Felt.
Yes, you will. Thank you all for listening tonight. And, let's enjoy the rest of Monday Night Football. Colin, what do you say? You want to hit Najee Harris for the second game?
Let's go. Hey, the wheel's hot. Let's go.